Good morning, everyone. For the record, it is, goodness gracious, what is it? October 14th, 2021. And this is our regular weekly ongoing business development advisor training. And for today's training, we are going to go over three implementable, it's a mouthful, three implementable ideas that Dennis and I had learned from the conference. Although it was in Vegas, we actually did learn things, and we weren't there just to have fun. But that's what we're going to be talking about today. There was lots of ideas that we did go over, and we took kind of the three highlights, and that's what we're going to be following up today, because just to set the premise of what the conference was, and what we kind of came out of it with was the idea that most of the core carriers were there. Not every single carrier, of course, comes out, but they all get a chance to speak. We all do round tables and get to talk with them kind of with a small group. And there's usually only about 40 or so people that are at the conference. These are the top affiliates of the that's in 3Mark. So we got to learn from other people, learn from the carriers. They brought in some speakers as well. And had a lot of fun, of course, but walked away with a lot of knowledge and information and ideas that can be implemented with agents and agencies to help them to get to where they want to go, to help them prepare for changes that are happening. We would be spending literally the whole day talking about everything that we learned. But in this case, we're going to take three of the top ideas, and then we are going to flesh them out a lot more. And again, this is always something that ask questions. This is your time to understand. So we'll walk through it, and I'm gonna get into the meat and potatoes of it. And then the only thing I'll say is Dennis, just from, I know you've been talking with a few people as well, but 1 minute overview on yours, or you can even take 5 minutes. I'm giving you a carte blanche right now.
Wow, that's like what an honor to just, well, no, it was a great conference. I've commented to a few people that it was smaller than I thought it would be. I don't know why. I just thought, I don't know. So, and I didn't know who exactly was going to be in the room. I told our group, that Jody and Jeff, just how impressed I was with 3Mark specifically, and to put names with actual faces. And I was impressed that with the leadership of the organization of 3Mark, and how long they've been doing this. And like, this isn't just some fly-by-night organization. There's just real talent there, and loyalty to the 3Mark mission. And so I think that goes a long way with the relationship then to the carriers. There's just this great relationship between the leadership of 3Mark, which they then extend to us those relationships that they have to the carriers. So it was incredibly welcoming. I felt like, for our affiliate that's really brand new, that they were extremely welcoming. And it's an earn-in kind of deal. So I did feel like, well, I don't even deserve to be here. And so I'm really grateful to Nathan to extending that invite and to seeing it firsthand. And it gave me great confidence in representing 3Mark and the carriers that they're connected to. So it was a fun time.
Well, I appreciate it. It was great to have you there, especially because you were my Ken replacement, Dennis.
Right. I hope I did okay.
You did great. We won't get into details.
Yeah, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Absolutely. Well, with that said, we'll I know you are more than welcome to chime in, Dennis, as we go through this, but and everyone else, like I said, this is not a formal presentation at all. This is 3 ideas that all of you can implement with agents and make a value proposition to help them to basically to earn their contracts and earn their business. These are ideas that not everyone is sharing with agents. And so take careful note of them, ask questions for clarification. Again, this is an open conversation. So first and foremost, is the Retire Stronger website. So just real quick, and Jeffrey, you're not allowed to raise your hand because I already know you're familiar with this, semi-familiar. I don't know how familiar, but is anybody else heard of or familiar with the AIG Retire Stronger website? Jody, have you ever used that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. And then I know Jake just, I just showed him a lot of the stuff on there too. For everyone that listens to this, this is a go-to website that everyone needs to bookmark and be at like the top of their list. The amount of resources on here are tremendous. So we're going to go through them at a very high level overview. But the basic premise of the AIG Retire Stronger website is first, you do not have to have a login to the back end to get access to the site. So literally you can be a financial professional, not even contracted with AIG or AIG Partners Group, and you can get access to the site as long as you know the URL. So that's really key. AIG and this website probably has the most resources that you can access that I have seen from any other website, bar none. The amount that's in here is, it's a lot. And this is something that you can use as a go-to to answer questions that people ask. And you can also use this as a go-to, as a resource for agents to be able to utilize. Now, there's no hook, let's say. It's not like you can send it to them and as soon as they start using it, be like, well, hey, you can no longer use this. I gave you this free resource, give me your contract kind of thing. But this is all about adding value to the agent, and it's relatively easy to add this sort of value. I would say it's very, very, very underutilized, extremely. So we're going to go through it, and I'm going to go through each of these categories. So these are just, there's other things on here besides this, but just as a really high level overview, and there's product resources. Of course, they have to deal with AIG. There's agent recruiting resources. There's calculators. There's sales concept packages. There's client approved material. There's the Small Business Institute. There's advanced sales website, and then there's campaign in a box. Those are the things that I'm going to highlight as we go through the website. But really quick, just to make sure everyone can still see my screen, right?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. So I'm going to go through this. And like I said, as I'm going through this, ask questions if something pops up. Dennis, I know you were exploring this a little bit. I mean, when we were talking about it, you pretty much said this has so much stuff that you didn't even realize.
Yeah, well, I never even heard of it before until at the meeting. And as many of you know, I travel with my iPad to every meeting. That's where I take my notes and whatever. And so when I'm sitting at the little round table, they reference a website. I bring up the website because then I can, at one point, we were working with Betsy and she referenced, our smart office. Well, then I bring up our smart office. So I'm working right along with it. And so that's what I was doing when I was and I can't remember even who was the AIG person.
Tom Brown.
Oh yeah. And so I was bringing it up and just looking at and just saying, wow, there's just a wealth of information here. And the dude that, you know, I did for our idea of the week yesterday, Nathan, I did, you know, the whole pending tax legislation, and Joe Ross is in the advanced market department of AIG, and his presentation, not only the PowerPoint with all of the script of what to say, but a video of it also resides on this website. So, I mean, there's just a ton of information here. I have it now bookmarked. I see it valuable for us, and to show anyone and everyone, as a value add to their practice. And it must work for AIG that, hey, we put this all out here, and then people say, well, if I'm using this, and a lot of it reference back to maybe products that AIG represents or has, then I might as well get appointed with them, and I might as well sell their products. And so I just think it's really good for them to put it out there, and it must work. It's very intuitive, to go and find stuff and dig around, and I'm very impressed with it.
I would agree 100%. So we're going to go through a few of those things, so that you understand where they're at. Like I said, this is a high level overview. Spend time exploring this website.
I do have a question.
Go for it, Jake.
So when I looked at this website, it actually popped me up first to the video.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so like I Googled retire stronger. And when I Googled retire stronger, it was like the first search engine result. And that was, yep. And it takes you to the video. But so when I wanted to look, I wanted to go back to the home page. And this is where my question comes into. When you go back and like, if you go to if you go to the AIG, you click on that, it has a pop-up bar that comes, at least it did for me.
Yep.
That asks, are you a professional, a financial professional, or are you just an everyday person?
Yep.
Does it change if
Yes.
you click if you're an everyday person?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It'll take them to a different side of the site that is all client approved materials. Like you won't see agent recruiting, you won't see
Okay.
agent development,
Okay.
things like that.
Okay.
But yes. So let's see. So after that, the first place I'm going to go, like you can go into each of these tabs, but I'm going to go and just click on the top and all resources. I think this is where the kind of intuitive part is, that if you want to jump to certain things, I'm going to basically go through these tabs really quick. So product resources.
Hey, I have a question.
Go for it, Dennis.
What is AIG's distribution? Meaning, do they have people that are a career track or are career agents within it? And how is AIG different from AIG Partners Group? You know, I kind of remember that whole deal of the big IMOs do not have access to AIG Partners. Can you refresh my memory on all that?
Yeah. Or Jeff, you want to take that one?
Well, basically, AIG Partners came about when they bought a company out of Nashville, Tennessee. At one time, AIG did have a career agency distribution, and they dissolved that. And the distinction, I think, between brokerage and partners, and add to this, Nathan, is that the partners specifically has the living benefit writers, whereas brokerage does not.
That is correct.
Otherwise, the portfolio of plans are very similar in design.
Yeah.
And the partners group is kind of like a career based, because they do offer incentives as far as the 20% bonus once you've exceeded $30,000 of annualized premium. And I think they still have trips that you can qualify for.
Yep, that is correct on all accounts. So if you're ever talking to an agent, the biggest thing that I say is, well, brokerage is different from AIG Partners Group because everyone's familiar with AIG. Not nearly as many people are familiar with AIG Partners Group. And all I say is that the biggest difference between the two is exactly what Jeffrey said, is the brokerage side has the riders, but it does not have living benefits built into the pricing of the product. And then on the AIG Partners Group side, they have living benefits built into the pricing of the product for term, UL, IUL, GUL. And that's the biggest difference. Plus then the 20% bonus is on the Partners Group side. The AGL side, the brokerage side, does not get that bonus. And then the other differentiation too is that, as you mentioned, Dennis, is that AIG Partners Group has decided that their distribution model is to smaller or mid-size IMOs. So the big players like the Dressander BHGs, the Simplicities, the Advisors Excels, the M&O Marketings, those places do not have access to the AIG Partners Group contract. They decided that that's not how they want their distribution to go.
If I'm ever talking to an agent or advisor, is there ever a time that they should be appointed with? So I get them with partners. Is there should you also get them appointed with brokers?
Sometimes it automatically happens, but
Okay.
there's really no reason to get both. AIG Partners Group still has access to annuities as well. The only difference is if someone is not in the living benefit space and they believe they're trying to cut as much cost from the chassis of like the IUL, because with living benefits, the pricing is a little bit more expensive built into
Sure.
the policy.
Got it.
Some advisors believe it's better to have without the living benefits if you're doing true cash accumulation, but that's a more in-depth conversation basically with them.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You are welcome. So on this, you are going to see stuff for both sides as a note. So you'll see stuff for the AGL side, and you'll see stuff for the QOL side. As Jeff mentioned, the names of the product are almost exactly the same. Like their IUL is called the accumulator. Their term insurance, they have a different name for it. But if you see QOL in front of the product name, QOL stands for quality of life, and that is the living benefits built into the policies. So that's how you know the difference between the two. But like I said, I'm not going to go through these tabs, but product resources, literally you can go through and talk about living benefits. You can there's materials here, index universal life. So that napkin presentation that Tom showed us, Dennis, here it is right there. So you can go in there and there's napkin presentations, explains how you talk about it, the 5, 10, 20, and the benefits of life insurance as a supplemental retirement income. All that stuff built into, there's training, so product education, what is index universal life, and here's a whole list of different videos and PDFs and training on a whole bunch of different things. Same thing with term. You can learn more about IRA wealth transfers. There's the training playbook, and then products, so competitive analysis, product materials, and underwriting and how that works. So literally all right there. So that's product resources. If you want to direct someone to this and they want to learn more about the AIG product line, then literally this is what I would send them. And just direct them to this website, go directly to one of these links if they want to learn more about the index universal life and find, one of the materials, and you can send that over to a PDF. You can send it to the website. Really, really simple and easy. And that takes a lot of again, you guys don't have to know this. We just brought on a new AMO yesterday, and she's bringing on we're going to call newer people to the industry Jakes now.
Heck yeah.
So she's bringing on a Jake as well, along with another experienced agent. But this is something that I directed her to as well. If she wants to get acclimated, this is stuff that she can learn on her own. Really powerful stuff. Also, as you see, there's client presentations. So we had someone that asked, well, hey, do you have an IUL presentation? And where do you think we sent her to? Right here. Because already client approved, and she can get that done really easy. We don't have to create anything. Even better. So that's product resources. If you ever click on different tabs, it's going to bring you straight to that place. So agent recruiting. So how-to videos on how to use these resources. There's emails, there's newsletters, there's social media. So this is something for all of you. If you're doing any drip campaigns, if you're sending an email with information, if you're trying to get someone's attention, there are pre-built materials right here. Like I can click on emails, grow your business, and here's 4 emails. So let's see what this one is. I want it in a PDF. So go beyond AUM with your clients. Here's one for basically it's for financial advisor. So providing client security options, retirement protection, peace of mind, blah, blah, blah. It talks about their product portfolios, pre-constructed communications, including videos, agile underwriting on permanent products. So here's a nice piece that you can add for a financial advisor. Begin exploring with your current clients and current relationships that will last for years. Click on the link. Where does it send me? Oh, it sends me to another link about small businesses, tax diversification, long-term illness riders. I've actually never looked at this one. So this is good though, legacy planning. And it's giving them an idea of kind of like the activity that we went through, Dennis, with Protective, of who do you know? So you're talking to a financial advisor and you want to bring them through an activity to see, well, which of the AIG products, or typically all of our products, would fit with that person. And do they have someone that needs long-term illness expenses? Do they have someone that needs tax diversification or major life changes, or is a small business or needs legacy planning? It's all right here, and they already have the questions in there. So definitely explore that on your end. Like I said, we can spend the rest of our time with this. I'm trying to get through some of this a little bit more quicker. Sales concept packages. So again, these are concepts that someone can implement with their client. They learn it. There's PowerPoint presentations, just a whole bunch of stuff. The other one I'm going to mention is business tools. So if you go to business tools and business resources, that Small Business Development Institute, that's a whole other website that teaches agents how to prospect, how to do the meetings, getting their conversational competence up to be able to talk to small business owners, and the closing and the service. And it has modules and training on how to do each one of those things. So you're going to hear ideas of everyone's going to ask the question, well, hey, Mr. Marketer, how do you get in front of more? How do I get in front of more qualified prospects? So really easy sales concept for us is, well, hey, have you ever thought about getting into the small business marketplace? Yeah, I would love to, but I have no idea where to start. Hey, I have a phenomenal training that has all the modules set up. You'll have to learn some of stuff and go through it, but you can take them to this Small Business Development Institute and have them go through all these modules, and they will learn how to market and how to have conversations with business owners. That's what this is designed to do. So that's a really big one as well. Oh, what else am I missing? So the advanced sales website, same thing. So it's a separate website that's going to thank you, that will teach you about estate planning, business planning, retirement planning, charitable planning, and other resources. And they have modules, they have trainings on how to approach that. Like literally amazing amount of resources. And this is professionally done. It's branded, of course, AIG, but it's a phenomenal resource regardless of what carrier that they're using, quite honestly. I know AIG doesn't want to hear me say that, but
Well, let me ask you this. So I totally see that it's a phenomenal resource. And I'm just wondering, okay, now do their products match their resources? Like, how does their IUL stack up and their term stack up, or their GUL?
That's a great question. So to answer that, I would say their term is middle of the line, especially because pricing wise, if you're just looking for price, because it has the living benefits built into it on the
Sure.
Partners Group side. So in the living benefit space, there's not tons of carriers that have term with living benefits.
Right.
There's starting to be more and more, but they're probably on the low mid size. They're not the cheapest, but neither are they the most expensive either on the term side.
No, they're competitive.
Yeah, absolutely. And they'll even run up against some carriers that have no living benefits and still beat the price off.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
No, I was going to say, speaking of the term, they're unique in that they offer term at odd years that no other carrier does. So if you're speaking with somebody that currently has a term plan, doesn't have living benefits, or for some reason need to extend what they have currently. For example, somebody had a 20-year term and 13 years has gone by and they want to extend it or even replace it with the living benefits at the current age. I have found in a majority of cases, the premiums are very close to the existing policy. So it's a great replacement tool.
Yeah.
And to add on that, the second area that they're most competitive with the term is when you're doing laddering. They're one of the few companies that will give a discount for a policy holder for the insured that's getting multiple policies, whether it's term or IULs.
Right.
And so if someone's doing laddering, they're going to beat out almost everyone because they'll give that discount. As for the IUL, they're one of the lower cost of insurances. They lowered their CUI, and whereas other people raised them, other carriers raised their CUI. They have two proprietary indices. Both of them uncapped, and one of them has over 100% participation rate. And they're two that no one else has within their index portfolio. So between the low CUI and the, sorry, I should not always use the acronym because we have people like Jake, and I know G, you're on here too. So this is might be like drinking water from a fire hose as well. But cost of insurance to the policy plus then those indices and how they performed, they're very competitive IUL. Like they're one of my favorites, to be honest.
So that, yeah, I guess that's good to hear. I mean, if you were taking a brand new licensed person and you're saying, okay, I want to launch this person, and gosh, here's all these great scripts and resources and concepts and back of the napkin things, and I feel comfortable pairing them with the products that are actually sold. This is a great entree for somebody into the insurance business. If I don't have a career track, or I'm not beholden to a certain company, and I'm going to launch my independent career, and I'm currently, the world is my oyster. This might be just here's a great place to go.
Yeah. And now that they're working on their underwriting and with that $1 million, especially on the term side now, like, because that wasn't the case before, because they were, yeah. Jeffrey, I saw your face tilt.
My ears just perked up.
Yes, so they have come out with accelerated underwriting for their other products.
Wow, wonders never cease.
That AIG has been behind the ball game on that for a long time. But
By the way, Jeff, I brought you materials from each table. So
there you go.
I should have handed it off to you when we had lunch with Dennis Dean earlier this week, but I did not. But I brought you stuff that you can just, because I know you.
That was nice of you to bring me gifts.
Yeah, absolutely. The only last thing I'm going to bring up.
Are they out of Houston?
So AIG is in Houston, and then AIG Partners Group is in Tennessee.
Okay.
Dennis, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Why did you just ask that question? Why does that matter to you? I'm just curious.
I don't know. I guess I have a perspective of where the home office is, and then the kind of the culture of the organization. I also like to know that if I really wanted to, if I wanted to drive to the home office, how accessible is it, or go visit? And
Okay.
I get a feel for the culture and makeup of the organization by where they are domiciled.
Gotcha. The reason why I asked is because I had 2 people ask me that exact question. And again, being new to all of this, that just seemed very strange to me. So I was just trying to, and obviously I'm not going to ask them, why do you care? Because that's probably not going to help me try to get their business. But it helps me to understand things like that, because I find it very strange. So when you asked it, I was like, something has to be behind this. So, okay.
Perfect. Well, the last thing that I'm going to go over for resources is what they call their campaign in a box concept. So I just looked it up because I actually forgot where to go. You can use that tool to find out where exactly things are if you know the name or the keyword you're looking for. But here, because literally you'll get asked a lot of times, well, do you have materials or things that I can send out to clients and stuff like that? Again, send them right here. Under, looks like it's client prospecting and campaign in a box, consumer pre-built campaigns, long-term illness, life insurance basics, mortgage protection, retirement income protection, grow your business, women's financial concerns. There is a whole list of, so for example, long-term illness. I'm going to download the pre-built campaign. And this is what it looks like. This is an interactive PDF. So here you go. Week 1, pre-built campaign. I can send out, here's a video, that road to retirement one that you first saw. I can send out this video. It's also going to show me exactly what the email is going to look like. If I'm sending out a direct mail piece, well, here's it pre-built. I can put my information on it. It's fillable so that I can, you can put your contact information on it. Here's my LinkedIn post. Here's my Facebook post. Here's my Twitter post. And then we go on to week 2. Here's my email. Here's my direct mail piece. And as you see, they're all different. So this is a pre-built drip campaign that you can implement that, like I said, probably one of the most underutilized tools that are out there. And this is good material. The statistics are already done. It's professionally done. And you get to slap your information on it. And I think that's really powerful. So,
how do you know it's underutilized? Does Tom Brown tell you that?
Tom has talked about it, as well as just in my umpteen zillion conversations with agents. Like, no one knows about tools like this.
Cool.
So again, if you can take, like, if you get an opportunity to take like 5 minutes with someone and show a website, you're on a webinar, that's a huge value proposition that, again, more often than not, really no other marketer is talking about this aspect of where those types of resources are. And AIG honestly doesn't, I don't feel they do a great job of telling people that they even have this resource. It's not like they send an email when you get contract with them, hey, here's our Retire Stronger website, go to it. It has a whole bunch of materials. So that doesn't happen. So the more you know about this kind of stuff, the better that you look. And even better for people that are even new to the industry, you don't even have to know this stuff and you can show them where it is.
Right, right.
Do these
I'm
campaigns?
thinking, great for Rob Hanna, Jeff.
Yes,
And Jody, I'm thinking great for that person that you might have had in licensing. I think they kind of ghosted you now, but you often have newbies in the deal and people want to learn about the industry or learn concepts. And this is just huge.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Jake has some that got out of the industry for a few years, needs to get back in and wants to sell IUL specifically. Well, we're not going to spend the time to sit there with her. Like she's not part of the agency. She's not part of that mentorship and training, but we can offer a resource and say, hey, this is where you can get the vast majority of your training. I'm going to point you directly where to go. And then you leave it up to them to be able to do that. And you just follow up with them afterwards to see if they follow through with it. Communication is going to be the key on that side.
Nathan, do those campaigns change?
I've
Like once I use one, did I use it?
yes,
Okay.
for the most part. And they do come out. I wouldn't say they come out with new stuff on a regular basis.
Sure.
And I've been showing people this website for like 2-3 years now.
But are those the same campaigns that were shown?
They've added a few. They've refined they refined the website.
Sure.
Like they've done a bunch of stuff to it since then. But at this point of where it's at, I don't see it changing
Sure.
tons.
Sure.
Of course, when 77 different rules change and laws and stuff like that, they'll always update it and make sure it's. That's why the second piece of that, just as a side note, is I like knowing about websites like these because the print materials really are only good for usually a short period of time before something changes. And they no longer are compliant because a new rule change or they change their pricing or they and all that means that any paper stuff is obsolete at that point.
Right.
So here you can always get the most up-to-date stuff because this has to stay compliant proof on their end. So these type of websites are extremely important to know about. All right, we spent a lot of time on AIG's website. Really phenomenal stuff. Any last minute questions on the Retire Stronger website? Okay. So great tool. Use it, look at it, read the stuff, know where things are at so that you can easily pull from them and send them to people that are asking questions. All right. Second idea. And this is going to be much more simplistic. There's a lot of information on that website. So Symetra, is anyone familiar with Symetra? Symetra
Yes.
is great. Symetra is probably not as well known of a company. It's gotten a lot of grown a lot in popularity with agents recently because they've done a lot more marketing, things like that. But the reason I say that on mine is because I wasn't familiar with them for a while. But all we're going to be talking about with Symetra right now is their Swift term. As a high level overview, it's exactly what you see here. So Symetra's Swift term, it's quick, it's easy. The client is able to complete the application. So that's a big deal. The policy can go in force in less than 25 minutes. And what I mean by that is from someone starting, you sending out the application, an agent sending out the application to the client finishing it only takes 25 minutes and them getting an instant approval. The other piece then is that a credit card can be used indefinitely. They are the only carrier that I know of, except for in this final expense world, and even there's even not many of them that do this as well. They're the only carrier that I know of that you can use a credit card payment indefinitely. Usually you can only take the first payment with a credit card, and then you have to switch it to a bank draft. And they are extremely competitively priced. So I was running comparisons afterwards myself, and they were coming up as some cases number one, some cases number two or number three in pricing. I should mention on here that the policy is convertible, and Symetra does have a good list of permanent products, and the compensation is also very good as well. The street level is probably a little above what most term policies are. Now, I will mention Symetra's term. It is not, there's no living benefits. It just has the terminal. That's why it's so competitively priced. But like I said, it is convertible. So that allows you to convert it into the other products, which do have those living benefits and things like that. Outside
With
that,
Accelerated.
whoa, okay, sorry, hold on. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Dennis.
It does have an accelerated death benefit, for terminal.
Yeah, for terminal.
Yeah, but right. So it's not a living benefit, but it does have an accelerated death benefit.
Yeah.
It does go up to 2 million of face amount on this SWIFT term. And always, you know that on these accelerated deals, you're always going to have things that get knocked out, and so I know when One America introduced their accelerated underwriting, and people were like, well, I told my client they would be approved right away, and now they have to go through full underwriting. Well, yeah, because of the way you answered the question, some of them aren't going to go through. So they say about 35 to 40% of them get approved in this immediate on the spot manner. So that's a pretty good number.
Yeah, and then after that, if it was like another 30% that they went through light underwriting, which only took 2 to 3 days, and then the rest of them, if it does kick back and they need more information, they will do a full medical then and go through full underwriting. So it's not a accept decline, which is really good as well.
Yeah.
If everyone was paying attention, and all I did, because Symetra has pretty decent, not as much as AIG's website, but I went to Symetra's website, went to for financial professionals, and literally, like, here's their information. There's some sales tool, there's forms, products, life insurance, and then term, and then here's everything about their the SWIFT term. So you can then get if you have an agent that's asking about this information, just ask what state they're in, and you can send them a nice PDF on how exactly this works. So minimum is 100,000 for this. You can find the availability of the states, which is in most states. Probably one of them is not New York, I would bet. Oh, they didn't build out that page. Shame on them.
We need to fix it. We need to fix it.
So top selling points, yes, it has convertibility, terminal illness, blah, blah, blah. Now, it is a very simplistic, easy, great pricing product. I'm going to ask everyone here besides Dennis, who do you think this would be good to market to?
First thing that comes to mind is PNC.
Absolutely. I would say so. PNC, and thank you, Jeff. Dennis is applauding. Correct answer. Ding, 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 ding. Johnny, tell him what he's won. So PNC is absolutely one of the best places that you can do this with. It's super simplistic. It is better than all of the other term products that they can sell with their auto and home insurance carriers. They can have the client complete it, so they don't even have to, figure out the application themselves. They literally run the quote, send the application, client finishes it, and the client then could get an approval right then and there after it's done. And then when the client gets an approval, they'll get an email, they'll fill out their bank draft information. It'll send take the first payment, and then a few days later, the agent's going to get paid from that.
You did mean the credit card information.
Bank or credit card.
Okay,
So it works with both, but yes, you can do bank or credit. That works really, really well with PNC agents though, because like just taking a credit card is super simple to get it started, and then they can always switch stuff down the road. The reason carriers don't like credit cards is because credit cards expire. And as soon as that happens, and if someone doesn't give them that new information within 30 days, or sometimes they'll switch the grace period to 90 days, then they lose the policy. So you want to keep that in force, but that's why they don't like it as much. But really great option to get that started, and super simple, very competitively priced. I would take this PNC agents, of course, anybody that's not doing anything in the life insurance space. So if you're a health insurance agent, if you're a Medicare agent, if you're you do group health, if you're the financial advisor that's not doing any asset protection, then this is a phenomenal tool to use. Super simplistic. It gets them in the door. And then of course you can talk to other products, because at the initial conversation, all you're trying to find is something to earn one contract with. Because if you can earn one contract, you'll end up earning other ones down the road. But
I think of other professionals that happen to have their life license. So I think of like tax planners who have this is perfect for Ed Wilkins and their tax planning deal. Or an accountant, he has an ongoing database, and he blasts out to his whole database and says, hey, I got this great opportunity. If you need, life insurance, need to add it on, whatever, boom. And you're just taking orders, and then they do it. And then it just cements that relationship more for other planning opportunities.
In fact, to play off that even more, you can take it a step further, and because most of them, all you need to run a quote is really date of birth and gender. And then you can run a quote and do a comparative quote of a 10, 20, 30 year quote, literally put that into the email, and you can have a link in the email to go start the application basically. It's a little presumptuous, but on the Symmetra side, like you can build that out and basically put the basic information of a client in. All you would really need is their name and their email and their date of birth, and you can create a link then that would get sent to them. So the applications of that for especially a place that has a book of business, we can help them craft emails like that and then just send it out to everyone, and they can get business just from the email if it's crafted the right way. And we have the scripts, we have the stuff to be able to do that. So that's a really great sales idea. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes.
Any questions about Symmetra, like I said, and Symmetra and that product?
All underwriting classes are available?
That is correct. So you can get the best rating even with an instant decision.
And the 2 million is up to what age?
2 million is up to age
60.
60, I was going to say, it looks like.
And on the conversion, Nathan,
Yep.
with the benefit riders available on a permanent, do you have to go through any additional underwriting? Or is the
Not-
underwriting?
Why didn't you
Yeah.
ask,
Oh, go
Say
ahead.
why didn't you ask me, Jeff?
I
Dennis,
was gonna say Dennis has all the notes.
do you want to defer that?
Oh, no,
to
no, I want to
Dennis?
hear Dennis's answer now.
No additional underwriting. Conversion. You can request, conversions can be requested prior to the end of the 10th policy anniversary or the policy anniversary following your 70th birthday, whichever is earlier. I don't know about additional underwriting. To me, that's not a conversion if you have to go through additional underwriting.
Yep. So what I will say, Jeff, is if you're asking for a rider, not the built-in living benefits, the built-in living benefits are on there automatically. But if you're asking for a rider on top of it, then they'll go through typically go through additional underwriting. But the base policy itself is convertible with no additional underwriting. Any other questions on the Symetra Swift term or any other comments from notes that you took, Dennis? Like I said,
No,
think of
my
the places that book the businesses.
way was, Jeff, I know you have an AMO that you're working with and Caesar. This would be just a great product and concept and idea to share with them.
Yeah, definitely. And I'd like to follow up to see what their criteria is, if they have one for ITIN individuals.
That's a good point. I'm not going to put a foot in my mouth. You can definitely. Haven't added it yet, but I have all of the contact information from everyone from the conference. So Symetra's rep is on there. He's a good guy, and I'll make sure that gets updated in the band, and you can call him directly and ask a question.
Excellent.
So any other questions about the Symetra side? Perfect. Like I said, those are two great ideas. The last one we're going to go over, and I'm going to cut. Well, we'll try and keep the. Well, technically, we have 35 minutes left, so we should be able to handle this in 35 minutes, right, Dennis?
Yeah, well, I got to jump off soon.
Oh, I'm gonna miss my. That's fine. Well, really quick then, Dennis. Before coming to the conference, were you aware of the Washington Cares Fund?
Yes.
Okay. Did you learn anything new about the Washington Cares Fund at the conference?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's okay to say no.
Well, I mean, so we have Dave Cacone, who is a absolute top of the heap leader in long-term care with New York Life. And so when residents of the state of Washington, when this whole thing went down, called New York Life as one of the approved carriers to get their long-term care, then they would refer them to Dave. So Dave's phone was ringing off the hook, and Dave submitted himself some 400 applications through a variety of companies because people needed coverage to avoid this tax in the state of Washington, which you're going to cover. Yeah. Because of all of that, Dave did a presentation to our firm on this, and then I became much more aware of it, and so Jeff and I dug into it a little bit, like, how can we get in on that action? And so, yeah, I'm pretty familiar with the whole deal.
That's
the biggest
awesome.
Thing, these are the kind of things I may not have known off the top of my head, like that 58 cents per 100 earned or whatever.
Yeah, and
but yes,
that's awesome. And so I will begin the premise with the reason we're going over this is because this is going to be coming to other states. Now, Yes, like Illinois. And I know for us specifically, I mean, we're really big in Illinois, but another state is California, and we have a lot of presence in California as well. I'm going to go through the very high level overview of what the Washington Cares Fund was and how it affected agents. And then we'll talk hopefully a couple minutes about our opportunity then for us to be aware about it. This is as Joe said, conversational competence is really what this is about. Don't feel the need to know everything about this, but there are plenty of agents. Like literally, I was just asking one of the agents that work with us yesterday, the agency, and I asked her if she knew about it. She's in California, and she said, "No, I haven't heard of this yet." And so we had a good conversation about what this could potentially look like and what happened in Washington and how that's going to affect her business. This is something that we need to know about because it has bogged down a lot of things. But there's a huge opportunity as well. So really quick, the WA Cares Fund, really high level overview is that this is going to go into effect January 1st, 2022. This is for W-2 employees only. So anybody that's a W-2 employee, it's not for self-employed or 1099s or things like that. This is affecting. And what it is that everyone has to have some form of long-term care. And if they don't have it, then they have to get it through the state. And what's going to be done is going to be taken out of their W-2, their payroll. Exactly. It's through a payroll deduction. And that's where the 58 cents for each $100. So for every $100 that's earned, if you don't already have long-term care and what qualifies as long-term care, which we'll talk about in a second, then they're going to take out payroll deduction 58 cents for every $100 that you earn in the state of Washington starting January 1st. Now, if you do the math on that, that's not crazy depending on how much you're making. But here's the deal with that is the benefit for this long-term care that you get through the state. Does anyone want to guess how much the benefit is that the state is going to give you for paying 58 cents for $100? Jake?
$35,000.
$35,000. We're pretty close. It's $36,000. So anybody that knows anything about long-term care, is that enough money to pay for long-term care?
For 1 month.
Yeah. I mean, you'd have to be a really bougie place to spend that in 1 month, but
Kind of exaggerating, but it's not,
oh yeah,
it's a drop in the bucket.
Statistically speaking, when we're talking about long-term care, most people, 70% of people are going to deal with a long-term care event. And when they deal with an event like that, it's going to be longer than a year. And so literally $36,000 will not cover what they need. So that's what's happening in Washington. They came out with this. You have to have an exemption, meaning that you have to prove that you have some form of long-term care in place prior to November 1st. And what's happened in Washington, and Washington's not a huge state. I mean, there's only about 7-8 million people there. Literally, I think with what Alyssa was talking about at Nationwide, there is about 86,000 applications that came through. So what happened was in Washington is that all the long-term care carriers has now stopped, are not taking any applications anymore because they can't handle it. And they don't know how this is going to do with their persistency rate, which means how long clients are going to stay on the books. Are they just getting this for a couple months and get the exemption and then get off? There's a lot of questions that goes with that. But the last piece of what qualifies for long-term care insurance for them, and I'll kind of read through it from the sheet, but it counts as long-term care riders on annuities and life insurance. So, which includes linked benefit LTC policies. What this means is that the living benefit stuff does not count. Okay. It has to be a true long-term care rider. And there's only a few carriers out there to have it. Nationwide is one carrier that has a true separate long-term care rider. Qualified long-term care insurance contracts. So there's a few of them out there that do traditional long-term care. And then long-term care riders or policies purchased under group coverage. So those are the three places. That's a very broad definition. But then they also then gave, Washington gave an approved list of insurance companies where consumers can get long-term care from. And so that's what everyone's been trying to do. A lot of people is get long-term care. There's been tons of applications, like you just mentioned, 400 applications for one person. Like that's someone's business for the next 2 years. And that's a huge amount of clients that you can then potentially cross-sell and do other things with. So how does it affect agents though? There's two things that I noticed. Number one is with people that are trying to write long-term care in Washington. So there's two things to that. Number one is huge opportunity to write long-term care in the state of Washington. Now, right now you can't do that. Everything's bogged down. But the second piece then is that it's going to affect agents that are trying to do just regular long-term care planning, because there are literally like no companies that are taking applications, even for regular policies. Not that it has to do with the exemption. So this is a disruption to business as well. This is going to come to other states, and the same thing, if it comes out to any effect of how Washington came out with it, it's going to do the same thing. There's going to be tons of policies that go through. There's going to be the opportunity for the people that know about it and have let their clients know and have talked to them about it and have already taken care of long-term care, or is going to help them out before this even comes. And it's going to affect the agents that are trying to get into long-term care and they're not paying attention to the rules. And all of a sudden they're trying to submit a long-term care case and the carrier that they're trying to work with doesn't take it because they're not taking any applications at this point. So that's two things that I saw from how this is going to affect agents. Opportunity if you prepare for it, and it's going to affect people's business if you didn't. And then the other states that this is coming to. So I have a list that this is potential, like this is not in law yet. This is in the works, but we have California, Oregon, Hawaii, Michigan, Alaska, Illinois, Minnesota, Missouri, Colorado, New York, North Carolina, and Utah are all states that are in talks right now to implement something like this. We'll get a list out to everyone, and I'll make sure that everyone gets that. But those are the states that it's coming to. So if you have any agents that you know in any of those states, then this is a good checkup call to say, hey, do you know what happened with the Washington Cares Fund? And if they say yes, then you have a conversation about it and ask them, what are they doing to prepare for that? If they say no, then I'm going to have the white paper. Actually, I think I already put it in. No, I don't think I did yet. I'll put the white paper in the band so that you guys can download it. You can send that out so that you guys don't have to know all the details and craft an email. But then if they don't know about it, send them that information about how it affected Washington and what happened there. And then say, well, hey, are you in the long-term care space? What are you doing? Do you have access to carriers? And like I said, we can come up with marketing messages that we have all the long-term care carriers. We have all the traditional long-term care carriers in our back pocket. We have annuity-based long-term care. We have the LTC riders on life insurance policies. We are very, very, very competitive in the LTC space. So if someone's looking for that, between all the carriers that we have access to, plus of course, One America. Those are great tools that you can let someone know about and say, hey, well, we have a solution. Let me get you contracted with this carrier, and we can talk about how we can market to some of your clients to make sure that their long-term care needs are taken care of. So that was a lot of talking. Really, really big opportunity. I went through that really quickly. Any questions that people have on the Washington Cares Fund, just in general, and then how we can use it?
I have a question on carrier. Doesn't AIG have a rider that would qualify like nationwide?
I would actually have to see, because AIG does have a chronic illness rider. But like I said, I don't know if that actually counts towards, because
So
as a true long-term care rider.
So it depends how it's filed, whether it's a, what, 7702 or a,
Yeah,
what's the other code that you file them under, like the chronic? So that probably, well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But if it's more chronic, it probably is not eligible. Okay.
yeah. So, like I said, so I'll use Nationwide as an example. So
Yep.
Nationwide, it is called a long-term care rider. And so there's extra underwriting that goes into it. It does, the premiums are different. There's a whole feature on it, but you can do that within their index universal life chassis, and that counts as long-term care. Whereas AIG Partners Group Living Benefits and a lot of the chronic illness riders that are out there, those aren't counting as true long-term care. And neither do the carriers actually usually count that as long-term care. In fact, if you talk to the carrier reps, whenever they talk about the chronic illness riders and the living benefits, they are very, 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 very clear that if you say they're long-term care, they'll come find you and whack you with the stick.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Jody.
Since this seems to be mandated by the government, do they waive pre-existing conditions?
Waive existing conditions, as in people that already are, that have long-term care, that are in long-term care facilities, or?
Yes, maybe somebody that kind of like the Obamacare, where they came out with, they couldn't deny anybody for medical insurance if they had a pre-existing condition. Would this be similar, where you could get long-term care even if you had a pre-existing condition?
So not with the carriers, but if you get denied from the carriers, then what's going to happen is that you can't prove that you have an exemption, which means that then you have to do this 58 cents for each $100 earned. And the only benefit that you're getting is 36,000, which is better than nothing. But yes, I don't know about if it's, I'm fairly certain that the Washington Cares Fund is going to take pre-existing conditions for any W-2 employee that's not self-employed and did not get an exemption. They're going to be required to pay this, basically. So they would get 36,000 hours of benefits, but if you want the good long-term care, then unfortunately you have to qualify for it.
Do you know if the tax is on gross or AGI?
Oh, let's see if it's in here. Yeah, it just says individuals' wages. Wages will be taxed without limitation or a capped amount. Yeah, so I mean, if you have a W-2 employee that's making $200,000, that means 580, that's $1,000 a year. That has to go towards this fund unless you get an exemption.
So
So
only gets 36,000,
what?
and he only gets 36,000.
And he still only gets the same 36,000. So that's the idea for especially the high income earners. You're better off taking that money, especially for young high income earners. You're better off taking that money and getting your own long-term care policy, getting the exemption, because you're going to get more bang for your buck. Now, if you're only making, $20,000, $30,000, $5.80, $5.80 is not going to, for the whole year, is not going to get you much long-term care. But that's kind of how this is playing out and working. And like I said, it's going to come to other states. Illinois is definitely one of the hot states.
So looking at pairing this up with other tools, this potentially becomes a great thing to pair up with leads that people or agents generate if they use Tyson's stuff to get in front of high earning income individuals.
Absolutely. In fact, something like this if we were to pair them with Tyson, like this is something we can let, if Tyson's not already aware of it, this is unique enough that you can create a social media campaign on long-term care, basically. And someone can specifically market that and say, hey, I have a solution, and you can come up with a whole funnel for how that works. So yeah, I mean, there's in each one of these things that went over, there's a lot of different ideas that you could go down to talk to an agent about. And like I said, all we're trying to do from this is earn their business. And again, this is why we're so important, because there's a lot of people that don't know about this, and unless we inform them, then they may never know about it. And they're either miss an opportunity, or like I said, there's only two things that this is going to affect when it comes to that state. It's the agent is either going to miss that opportunity, or number two, they're not even going to know that it's happening, and all of a sudden they're trying to get the long-term care. And if it's at that time where there's so many policies in, there's not a single carrier that'll take a long-term care policy because they'll be so backed up. So that's kind of the urgency of letting people know. I don't know when these states are going to come out with these guidelines, and when they're going to be implemented, but that's how you can create a little bit of urgency of saying, like, I don't know when this is going to happen, but are you in the long-term care space? Like, you can craft a whole script around that concept and idea. In fact, as a note, on the Symetra one, I actually added a script late last night. If you guys saw the notification, on Symetra's Swift term, very super simple. In fact, let me pull it up. But so here it is, Symetra Swift term script. I'll work on one at some point for nationwide. So hello, I know you get call types calls some, so I'll be brief. And if you aren't interested in what I'm offering, feel free to hang up. I'm used to it. That's kind of my intro. But do you sell term insurance in your agency? Yes, great. I'm sure you have a zillion term products to sell, but I wanted to let you know about an instant decision term insurance that the premium can be paid for with a credit card indefinitely. There's your two simple value prompts. Is that something that you would like to have in your product portfolio? And if they say yes, then great. Literally send over the program flyer as well as contracting. So the Assurance Bay Link, the company is Symetra. They're an A-rated carrier with a great product portfolio of term ULs and IULs. As a note, they were also in the employee benefit space as well. Term insurance is convertible up to age 70 or before the 10th policy year anniversary. Any questions that you have? Great. Truly looking forward to working with you. I'll be in touch in the next few days to check on contracting. Have a great day. Bonus question. Also, are there any areas in your business that are obstacles to growing? So if you want to have a further conversation, if you want to just get the contract over to them, great. But super simple, oversimplified, like they may ask questions, there may be other things that come along with that. But you can direct them to the Symetra website. There's a script for you to be able to use to be able to implement that. So, G, I know you're listening in, but that script, if you go into band and you go to attachments or files, you'll see it at the top because it's the last one that I added. So Symetra Swift term script. But really good stuff. I'll add one. I was gonna work on one for the Washington Cares Fund as well. But hopefully that helps everyone. Any questions? Comments,
No.
concerns, conundrums, enigmas, mysteries, riddles?
It'll just be interesting how it plays out.
It will be. I do
Um,
agree with that. Like I said, it'll be interesting how what we can capture from that. I mean, to go under Dennis's note, what was the guy's name? Is his name David?
David Cacone.
David Cacone, thank you.
Yeah.
But just imagine that David Cacone was your agent. 400 policies. That could make your year.
Mhm.
So 400 policies, that's a lot of premium. So literally one agent could make your whole year. If we capitalize on this right. So, letting people know and being that mouthpiece to help them understand what's happening and what's going on in the industry is huge. Because it makes you look like an expert. It makes you look like you have value to add to them. And that's what these parts are for, these Thursday trainings. And I know I'm preaching to the choir with you and with Jeff and Jody, but with G and Jake, that's what this meeting is for, is to learn those tidbits and to be able to share that information.
Mhm.
Any other questions?
Yeah, if I can go back to partners for just a second.
Yeah.
That is available now.
Is available now. What's available?
The accelerated for the term.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna actually pull up the.
And same criteria, up to $1 million, up to age 50 is
Yeah,
the permanent.
yeah, 49 or under. So, like I said, and it looks like they added it up the right at the beginning. Yeah, or age 50 or younger, million or less. Standard through preferred plus cast, so the best rating. They'll pivot to full underwriting.
Great.
There's
That's a start.
yeah, so yeah, they that's a big deal. Yeah, underwriting guidelines. Anyways, so yeah. Oh, I apologize. AIG has it. It is coming on AIG Partners Group. I apologize, Jeff. AIG has it on their term already. On the
select.
on the AGL side.
Yeah, the select.
Yes. Is it called? Yes, the select term.
Selected term.
Yeah. The flex term, the QOO flex term on the partners group side, it is coming. He didn't give me an exact date, but it's going to be relatively soon.
Okay.
So yeah, I apologize. I just remembered that piece.
No. Okay.
Because when we're there, so AIG is there, but AIG, the guy talks about both sides a little bit. And I forgot that differentiation. So my bad.
No, that's fine.
But yes, so that's coming soon. That'll be nice. Any other questions as we wrap up? Well, then go get them. Have fun.
Thank you, Nathan.
This is fun, people. You're welcome, Jeff. You're welcome, Jody. Hey, G, it was great to have you on. Thanks for joining, even while you're traveling. I know Jeffrey and I didn't get a chance to connect Tuesday. He had some personal stuff go on, so we'll connect again so that we can help get you started. But I appreciate everyone's time. Again, this is recorded. I'll add this into the group on the Praxis ACG YouTube channel. So if you guys want to view this later, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, can you give me that address? Because it's at the office. I'm not there right now.
The address for what?
The YouTube.
Literally you go to YouTube. I'm going to send you.
Send me.
Send you.
Send me.
If you just type in Praxis ACG,
Got it.
right there.
Great.
But I will do you the favor. And here you go. Now you just have to click on the link. All right. With that said, everyone have a great rest of the day. We are here if you have any questions. And don't forget, so next week, Wednesday, call block at 11 o'clock. I missed everyone on this Wednesday. So we'll have we'll do calls. This is not a script training or things like that. It's 4 calls. So 11 to 1 o'clock. But with that said,
Awesome.
Everyone have a phenomenal rest of the day. Have a great weekend if we don't talk soon. And I'm excited for the possibilities.
Peace
Talk to you
out.
later.
Thanks, Nathan.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.